Hello everyone and welcome back to another session of Elden Ring PvP and another weapon showcase. Today we are taking a look at the Frozen Needle, which is essentially the spiritual successor to the Ice Rapier from Dark Souls 2, but with a big old nerf. And I honestly have to say, I think I like this version of the weapon better than the Dark Souls 2 version. That said, getting started. You can get this weapon at the King's Realm Ruins. You can find the King's Realm Ruins north of the northern Liurnia Lake Shore Grace, or south of the Road to the Manor Grace. I'll have an image on screen showing the location. This weapon requires 11 strength and 18 dexterity in order to wield, and it weighs 2.5 units. It is a somber weapon as well, so at plus 10 it has a base damage of 242, a D-scaling in strength, and a B-scaling in dexterity, and the skill on the weapon, unfortunately, is Impaling Thrust, which I personally don't find to be overly useful. I feel like there would have been better options for this one, something like Repeating Thrust possibly, but unfortunately, we are stuck with Impaling Thrust. So it is what it is. This weapon has some really good things going for it, though. The biggest pro of the weapon, I would say, is probably the R2 attack. With that R2 attack, you launch the blade of the weapon at your opponent. And when that blade launches forward, it has a good amount of range to it. It still deals frostbite buildup, just like it would if you were hitting them with it normally. And it's great for keeping pressure on your opponent. The weapon itself deals 60 frostbite buildup per hit, and with the fact that you can launch an attack covering such a wide range, it is really a great utility and helps keep pressure on them when they're out of range of the weapon itself. So when you need to throw that blade, you can just go ahead and throw that blade and hit your opponent at range. It's really nice. Aside from that, you can actually do an R2 cancel with the weapon and take a small step backwards, and the blade will still go forward at your opponent. So you can attack while retreating with this weapon to an even larger extent than you can with any of the other thrusting swords. So that's a really nice thing about this one. It gives you options with how you approach the fight. Yes, it's a thrusting sword and all of its attacks are straight on, but you know what I mean. Aside from that, it does have the standard pros of its class. It's got fast attacks, it has the ability to turtle poke. One thing that I've noticed is that it seems to track better when you do turtle pokes and your opponent is strafing around you. Those turtle poke thrusts actually track your opponent better than a regular R1 would, so keep that in mind. You might actually want to turtle poke when your opponent tries to strafe around your side. It, at least in my experience, seems to track better. That said, the cons of the weapon, because there are definitely a few. For starters, it is a somber weapon. The biggest con is definitely Impaling Thrust, in my opinion. I don't like it as an Ash of War, I don't like it as a skill, I don't feel like it's very useful. Aside from that, compared to the other thrusting swords, this one is short. Like, it's pretty darn short. But it also, on the other hand, has the largest range of all of the thrusting swords because of its R2, so it kind of balances out in my opinion. The final con of the weapon that really I just don't like, for some reason this weapon does not work with the Axe Talisman. My only thought as to why is that when they were making the Axe Talisman a thing, they decided that it should only work with weapons that you're physically holding, which makes sense. However, because you are launching the blade, you're still holding the hilt, you're just not holding the blade, therefore it doesn't work. Charging up doesn't make a difference with the Axe Talisman. Of course, a fully charged attack will deal more damage regardless, so it's worth doing anyway, but it would have been nice to see how much damage you could do with it with the Axe Talisman. That said, of course, it does still work with the Spear Talisman, so that makes up for it, but it would have been nice to stack both. So, it is what it is. That said, a lot of weapons in these games, when they have an R2 projectile, you can hit with the R2 from the weapon itself and the projectile. You can get double hits. However, because you're launching the blade, there is no separate projectile. It's just the blade that goes flying. And because of that, you don't have the ability to do a double hit like you could with the Moonlight Greatsword or the Wing of Estelle. Not a huge deal, because if I'm not mistaken, this is the only R2 attack that sends a projectile of some sort that 1 deals physical damage, and 2 is able to work with the Spear Talisman. So it's not really a big deal because there are other benefits to it, but it is something to keep in mind. Double hits with this one are not a thing. That's about all I've got with the weapon. It's really a great weapon to use. It's good for the turtle pokes. A lot of people don't take advantage of that and they'll come running in because they don't expect it in this game. You've probably seen it a handful of times in this video so far, where I have turtle poked someone who's just waltzed up to me and gone for an attack. I just hold up the shield, give him a little poke, and that's it. It doesn't really take any effort, and you can always do it and then back off. So it's something to keep in mind. It's an extra little thing you can do with the weapon. One thing I should do more often with it is the R2 cancels, because those can throw off someone's timing. You can get someone with a roll catch with them. So it's something I need to be more mindful of and try to do more often. It is what it is. Either way, do you guys have any experience with this weapon? If you do, let me know down in the comments how that experience with it has gone. If there's anything you feel like that I've missed, feel free to, again, let me know in the comments if there's something that you think I should have mentioned. And as far as weapon showcases moving forward, I don't know what the next 2 are going to be. I'm not sure what the next focused PvP will be. So if you have any suggestions on weapons, please let me know in the comments as well. That said, there's 1 fight left after this one. Thank you all for stopping by. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Like, subscribe, and all of that good stuff, and I'll see you all next time.